Hi everyone, I'm Paul Seymour. I'm the owner of Alexandria Knife Sharpening here in Alexandria, Virginia. We are a knife and tool sharpening business. I'm a home-based business here in Alexandria. Very busy. I sharpen almost every day. I've actually been going pretty much non-stop since November. I was sharpening 7 days a week. Business has been great. And I decided I would like to, I'm going to start doing some videos, just maybe to help out some other sharpeners out there. I want to share how I got started, what I use, what equipment I like, different sharpening systems, how my business has expanded over time. So I'll be doing a number of different videos. But today's video I'm going to do on a comparison between the Tormek T8 and the Win. And if you're not aware of what a Win is a very inexpensive, I believe it's all made in China, Chinese brand of tools. And over the last couple years, I've seen videos of other sharpeners doing reviews of the Win. But one of the interesting things that I noticed was almost everybody that reviewed it, you know, they would you'll read the titles, it'll be like Tormek Killer, or you know, it's always compared to the Tormek. But almost every video I watched, the person who was doing the Win video and breakdown of the Win video and about the Win didn't own a Tormek. So, you know, and a lot of them were right up front, like, hey, I don't own a Tormek, but, you know, they would compare what they know about the Tormek. Well, I own a Tormek T8, and the Tormek T8 is my primary sharpening machine. And I love it. And I use it every day. It runs for hours in this shop. There's been times I've been sharpening for 12 hours, solid. And my Tormek T8, it never lets me down. Now, does that mean I wouldn't buy a less expensive sharpening system? Of course not. And you know, I've saw so many videos on the Win, I was like, you know what? When I see one out there, or if I see one that's cheap or on sale, I'm gonna pick one up, at least do a comparison, check it out, see if I can find some uses for it where it might work for me in my business here in Alexandria. And so I did that. So I'm gonna stop the camera here, spin it around, and start going through like first impressions. I've had it a couple days, and there's a couple things that jumped out immediately compared to some of the other videos that I've seen in the past. And being that I own a Tormek, there was a lot of questions I had that unfortunately weren't answered by these other videos I saw. But like I said, most of the ones I saw, that they didn't own a Tormek. I only remember one sharpener that did a review that I watched that did actually own a Tormek, but he owned an older Tormek. He'd been sharpening for a lot of years, and he actually in one video said he wasn't his Tormek broke after I think 20 years or so. Yeah, a long time. And he said he wasn't going to replace it. He was going to, you know, keep using the Win, which I got to say was surprising. But now after having a couple days with this sharpener, and to be honest, he never showed his Tormek in any of the videos, so I can't say for sure that he actually did have it. But let's get started, and I'm going to give you my impressions of the Win versus the Tormek. Okay, so here's my Tormek T8, and it, like I said, gets a ton of use. I, for the most part, now grind dry on it. So what you'll see on my Tormek is a 1000 Grit Cbn Wheel from Woodturner's Wonders. If you are a knife sharpener and you use a Tormek, let me tell you, you want to own this wheel. I know it's a comparison about the wind, but while I got it here, I'm just going to tell you, probably the greatest investment I ever made for my Tormek. This 1000 Grit Cbn wheel that you can grind with dry. I don't have to use water trough or any of that. And I have the Japanese water stone. I have the standard stone. But this baby here is a game changer. And I'll do another video on that at some other time. So let's get over to the win. So here it is. Here's the win. And I unpacked it, set it up. The first thing I did notice was mine was vibrating a lot when I first got it. Like when I first started it up. Now I didn't have the wheel on it. I just put the honing wheel on. But I read the directions. I read through, and they basically said, hey, if it's vibrating, let it run. It has a little bit of a break-in period, and that will probably go away. So I didn't hit the panic button, and honestly, I got this super cheap. So and there's no doubt that's what attracts a lot of sharpeners to this. And this is a 2022 model, and I will talk about that too in this video, because I got mine from Amazon. It was on sale for $140. Now, it was really like $100, because for the $140, they also included all the Win jig set. And that's normally like $40, $45 for that set. And it's, I got it down here. It looks very similar to the Tormek, but it's not. And we can get into that, the differences there with the jigs. And I'll just go to open up. And here's their main. This would be compared to the Tormek 45 jig. I think was it S45? I forget the exact number. Similar in a lot of ways, but definitely not a Tormek. But price wise, this entire set with a scissor sharpener, a chisel sharpener, an axe sharpener, is $45. This one jig from Tormek is $45. So, there is a big difference in price. Now, let's talk quality. Is there a big difference in quality? Without a doubt. So, there you can go. You can see it's running. And there is a little bit of a noise of a wheel going around, but it's not terrible. I mean, for $100, I actually would have expected it to sound a lot worse. And I did notice it runs a lot better with a wheel on here. So when I had no wheel on and was just running it to see how it ran, for whatever reason, running it with a wheel, it runs better. I do also like that it has a switch that you can run it in both directions, something a Tormek T8 doesn't have. It doesn't go the other direction until you let it come to a complete stop. It has a worm drive in there, which is if you take this off, it's just a big spiral that causes the axle to spin. Now, the very first thing that I wanted to know that I never saw anyone else answer in any of these other videos was, will my Tormek guide rods fit on here? Not the jigs, but the rods. So this is the extra large, long one, which I use all the time. And this is a front vertical mount. And this was the first thing that I was not happy to see. These are not the same size. They're close, but the Tormek guide rods, they don't fit. So that was a little sad. And my next big concern was, and this is what I didn't understand, and maybe someone else out there knows the answer to this, and maybe this is why when you buy it on Amazon, you can buy a 2021 model or a 2022 model. The 2021 model, for some weird reason, cost more. But when I looked at the specs were identical. I went on the forum asking questions, and at least as far as the questions went on there, nobody said that there was a difference. Nobody could answer the question and say what the difference between the 2021 model and 2022 model was. So, my next disappointment was this. A lot of other videos you'll see on YouTube will tell you, oh, the wind stone is out of round, but no big deal. Buy the Tormek truing device and you'll be good to go. Well, this is the Tormek truing device. It's a TT-50. It's got a diamond cutter in there, and you attach it to your guide rod. Now it does fit, which is good, just the way it's supposed to. But here's the problem. Because the distance in the legs are different, you cannot true your stone, because where your diamond cutter stops leaves about an inch of stone left. And I just hit the end. And you can see that is still clearly got a lot of stone left. So I don't know how anybody out there was truing this stone with the Tormek truing device, because at least with this model, which is the TT-50, you're not going to be able to do it. It's too short, and that's because of the spacing on their guide rod. So that was disappointing. Now, is there a workaround? Sure. I can take this stone, put it on my Tormek T8, true it over there, and bring it back to the wind. Problem solved. But if you don't own a Tormek T8, I don't know how you're gonna true that with the TT-50. Now, maybe people in the past and that had the wind before. I do know there was an older version of this. Maybe that's got a different setup to it. But as far as I can see, I don't see how you can true this with the current configuration. So that was a little disappointing. The other thing I noticed right away, I did decide, let me try and grind a couple knives. I wanted to use the honing wheel. Now, one of the positives, one thing I do like, the wind's a little bigger in size, and the distance between the honing wheel and the stone is longer. Now that's great, because one of the things I hate about the T8, and there's not too many things to not like about it, but one is the distance between the honing wheel and the stone is too close in my opinion. And you can see how much fatter. It's a couple inches fatter. I'll have to try and measure it at some point, but it's a good, there's a good bit of distance between those two, which that's really nice. If you want to hone, it's going to be easier to hone on this. Now, here's another issue. I went to grind actually that axe over there on here, and one of the things I noticed immediately, now it's probably not going to happen on a chisel or anything like that, but I was able to stop this stone from spinning. Torque-wise, you will definitely see a big difference. That is one place the Tormek excels at. Their drive system, one, it's super smooth. I mean, it runs smooth, it feels smooth. You can hear it sounds very different, it's very quiet. But I'm going to show you real quick. Take this off. So the Tormek drive is very cool, and it's very, very different than, I'm sure, all of these cheaper versions out there of, you know, these basically Tormek knockoffs. And here's the first thing you're going to see. So the Tormek has what we call, I think they call it a torque drive. So I'm going to take off this stone, and this is another great feature, is the stone comes off with just this simple locking system. This is their newest system. They used to use one similar to this with a nut, but then they went to this, and you can upgrade older units to this. And this is just awesome because in 2 seconds, you can get your stone off and change it out to something else, which if you're dry grinding is really awesome. But let me pull this entire axle out and show you the inside of what the Tormek looks like. So there's the axle. Now I grind, I mean, a lot. So I actually grease, they say you should like grease it once a year with like lithium grease. I actually do it more often than that, and I clean this regularly because I grind a lot of knives. I have several restaurants that are customers that I, you know, grind, resharpen their knives for them on a monthly basis. And then I have all my regular customers that just come in. So, but this is, you can see, here's the torque drive. So the motor is actually like suspended, and it's got some serious weight to it, which leans into this rubber wheel, and that's what gives it that it just has a beautiful, smooth running experience to it. And if I had to explain it, I guess in the easiest way that I could think of to explain this to somebody, I would have to say that the difference between, sorry, the camera's probably bouncing all over for you guys, but as I slowly try and put this Tormek back together with one hand. But, well, I'll just do that at the end, so I don't want to have terribly bouncing video all over the place. But, the difference between the T8 and the Wen is like the difference between a Lamborghini and a Kia. I mean, that's about the best way I could describe it. This is your luxury sports car. This is your cheapest, foreign-made, affordable, not going to break the bank ever product that acts like it's doing the same thing, but there is no chance that Wen and a Tormek are ever going to be in the same league. So any video that you see that says Tormek killer, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm just going to say it flat out. They don't know what they're talking about. It is not a Tormek killer. You can't kill this thing. This thing is a luxury car. It is beautiful engineering, incredible design, will run itself to death. Like I said, I've run mine for 12 hours straight, sharpening all day, many times. And if it breaks, it's got a 5-year warranty. Okay, yes, this was $100. I could buy I could probably buy 7 of them for the price of just the basic Tormek machine. It's been a little while, so I don't remember what the exact price is, but I think just the machine itself's at least $500. You know, once you get all your jigs and everything else, you're easily hovering in that $1,000 to $1,200 range for a Tormek. $100. But I'll just put it this way in finishing up this video is, if my Tormek broke today, I would be ordering another one same day immediately. At least for this guy who runs a professional knife sharpening service, sharpens knives every day, I wouldn't even hesitate for a second to replace it immediately. Now, is this a great option? I guess, you know, time's going to tell. Maybe for some things, but I think as you start getting, you know, where you're going to have to go to do things, like the one thing I've been considering is maybe getting another CBN wheel to speed things up, because I would like to be able to grind at like a 600 CBN and then go to the 1,000. Now, I did run my 1,000 Grit Cbn on the Wen. It ran great. I sharpened a knife with it. It did a great job. Now, one thing you will notice with the Wen too is it runs at a higher rate of speed. So that's probably how they're making up for its lack of torque, is they got to run the stone faster. So if you don't have torque, you can make up for the stock removal, but by having a faster speed. And if you look, I mean, I don't know if the video, if you can see it, but that baby's moving. Okay, let me show you. All right, I guess I am going to have to put this back together. Let's see if I can do it without causing any problems here, because I do want to show you the difference in the speed. All right, yeah, piece of cake. That's there. I'm just going to wipe this axle off because there's a little grease and I don't want to get that grease on the inside of my Spartan stone. All right, clean. Spartan wheel back on. Lock, done. And we should be able to run it just like it is. Okay, so even though I didn't put the honing wheel back on, but there's that speed. And I wish I had a way to test the speed to tell you. It's probably in the stats. And there's this one. I mean, it's definitely faster. I don't know if it's twice as fast, but maybe we can see this way. So you can see both wheels spinning. I don't know. Hard to tell, but I felt like this is spinning a heck of a lot faster when I was sharpening knives on it. And I'm pretty positive it is. So that's the other, that's one other difference you're going to notice is the RPMs. And I'd be shocked if that's how they're making up for not having the torque that a Tormek has. Because I have never been able to stop my Tormek ever by grinding. I've never been able to put enough pressure on any part of this that it stopped moving. I stopped that the first time I used it. And I was surprised because I was like, is that wheel slowing down? And then it stopped, and I was like, wow, I stopped that wheel. So that's where I'm at so far. So it's only about, I don't know if this was maybe the second or third day I've had this, that I've played with it a little bit. And my impression is, you know, if you like sharpening things, as long as you don't have a business, if it's just something you do for fun, and you're only sharpening maybe chisels, the winds might be an excellent option for you. And I think you could probably make it a wicked knife sharpening machine by adding a very awesome CBN wheel to it, like the 1000 CBN there from Woodturner's Wonders, Ken Rizzo over there. But if you're a sharpener, I'm gonna say, I don't know. The jury's out kind of on, is this worth it? I mean, yeah, it's super cheap, $100. I'll let you know. You know, I'll do a follow-up to this in about a month or two. And let's see where I fall then, and see if I've found a good use for it. Now, like I said, I like the honing wheel. I even found that the honing wheel came in really good condition. It was nice and round. My Tormek did have a slight hump in it that eventually wore down, but you know, Tormek even tells you that can happen right where it was seamed. I had a little bit of a hump, but you know, after you sharpen a lot of things on it, it goes away. And down the road, I may look at the synthetic honing wheel next. But you know, would I love to own a second Tormek machine? Yeah, I absolutely would. But you know, cost-wise, it hurts to buy another Tormek. But it would be nice. You know, what I had hoped was to be able to take the guide rod right off and slide it right into another machine with another CBN wheel and get the exact same angles and measurements. And that's not going to happen for sure, with the Win being that the guide rods are totally different and that the Tormek guide rods don't fit on the Win. So that's it for now. I will do a follow-up. If you guys got questions about it, certainly, you know, shoot me any questions that I didn't cover. I'm sure there's a ton of things I did not cover about the two machines. And I'd be happy to try and answer anything that I didn't cover here. All right, so that's it for this first video. And I hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope it wasn't too long-winded. And but that's the 2022 comparison of a Tormek T8 versus a Win wet grinder by someone who does actually run a professional sharpening business and sharpens every day. All right, have a great day, everybody.